But moving on to Missouri, Kobe, my thoughts are Georgia coming off of what you could perceive as a sloppy game heads to Missouri, right? We're in for a 7:30 night game, which hey, it's a lot better than your noon kickoffs fans that don't like these early kicks. But I think, in my opinion, and we'll start off by this, I think Georgia will come into this game with a focus, laser focus, and I think you're going to see a pack of hungry dogs come Saturday. Uh, you know, listen, Georgia has Missouri this week and then Auburn next week. I'm just going to let you know right now, you're probably going to see a blowout. I'm just going to leave it there because that was one of the worst football games I've seen all year, Missouri and Auburn. Um, and if Luther Burden does not play, I don't see a chance of how they really do anything. Um, what are your thoughts as we prepare to go up to Como and prepare for Saturday night?
It's one of those things like Georgia didn't look the best. It didn't look to standard, I guess. That's the best way. Is the dogs on Saturday didn't look to the standard that we're used to. Now, did they look bad? Did they look sloppy at times? For sure. I mean, but it's all part of it. I think people forget sometimes that these are kids. These are people between the ages of 18 to 23, and unless you're Stetson, you're 25. But um, they have lives. I mean, they have. It's not at some point you can't convince some of them all the time that the game against Kent State is just top tier. It's just hard to do. I mean,
Yeah.
it just fluctuates. I mean, now was it a lack of focus? Was it a lack of whatever? I don't know. But I agree. At this point, you gave up some points. I mean, Kirby touched on it. You had an improper fit on a screen. You had a DB go inside and take inside leverage, and the screen was obviously blocked to hit outside, and it hit. And it hit 80 yards. Um, it you have an interception on a 50-50 ball early in the game that's probably a touchdown if it goes our way. That's just kind of bad luck at that point. We're going to throw 50-50 balls, and Stetson's going to trust his receivers to win 70-80% of the time. And then, we're hoping the interception's only happening 5% of the time at most. Um, it's just one of those things that, like you said, I watched the Battle of the Tigers last week. Neither team looked um up to
Remotely close to being competitive.
they weren't even competitive with themselves. They were going back and forth deciding who wanted to lose the football game all game. And I just think that our defense really going to show up. I mean, I think they've been in the conference 10 years. I think we're 9-1 all
Yep.
time
Yep.
against Missouri in the SEC. And don't expect that to change this weekend. And don't expect it to really be close because if Luther Burden's out, their other receiver is leading the SEC in reception yards. But if we can focus on him, if we can have, two men on him and nobody to worry about Luther Burden if he's hurt, we're going to make him one dimensional. And historically under Kirby, if we make you one dimensional, you lose and you lose bad.
Yeah, I don't think there's a question there about that. Listen, I think 60-33 DGD says 60-3. He told me earlier that he thought 55-10, but he retracts that. We'll talk picks and we'll talk scores for the game later. But keep that in mind because it's. I think Patrick's right, man. It's going to get ugly, right? Like I think there was a good thing for this game, right? Listen, Kent State was actually doing some things. They're a good football team. Like Kirby's not just coach speaking it there, in my opinion. When you look at the schematics of what they were able to do, they came ready, right? Listen, that was our first time seeing an odd man front, right? It creates chaos, if you will, right? You're used to, for instance, if you're used to seeing 4-2-5s or whatever, like most what we've seen so far, it's if that becomes your norm. So when you see that odd stack, right? I think Mississippi State, if I'm not mistaken, no, Arkansas did it. That's right, Arkansas does it. Um, it can create some problems. I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, listen, Georgia was expected to go in there and do like way better, if you will. You still took care of business by 17 points. I'm gonna leave that from the previous show, but nonetheless, I think there was a lot of coachable moments. But one of my things, looking into the Kent State game, we saw in-game adjustments and coaching take place, and application of those changes you saw in the second half. I think what we're going to see now is with the preparation for Missouri. If we see anything like that, I think the coaching points are there, and the application will be instilled, in my opinion. So I don't expect to see that many. I wouldn't say flaws, but like miscues, because they're going to happen, right? They will. You can't expect to play the perfect game, but I think you're going to see those mistakes and mental miscues mitigated significantly, if you will, and that's not good if you're a Missouri Tiger fan. I'm just going to leave that there.
And I'm just gonna leave this out there to everybody listening too. And you know, you looked so good against Oregon. You had a perfect game plan against Oregon. And then you've come out and you've really had some strong defensive games against some people, South Carolina included. You honestly shouldn't have even given up the touchdown to them. Um, but the comment that everyone's saying is, "Oh, how can Georgia's defense be good? They lost so much talent to the NFL." At some point, yes, we have reloaded and we are really good again. But also, there are growing pains. Like, we are now a young defense again. Now, are we a really good defense still? Yes. But are we super young? Is Kamari Laster super young? Is both our middle linebackers really young? You have a lot of youth on this defense. And like Kirby's saying, the only way they're going to learn is by playing. And that's what you saw at Kent State. That's what you've seen. You've seen people throw the ball Kamari Laster's way a few times. Well, if you're an offensive coordinator and you see Keely Ringo, who you know is an All-American to one side, and Kamari Laster, who is not currently an All-American to the other side, where are you going to throw the ball? Like, it's not a knock on Kamari. It's not he's not a good corner. It's they really don't want to throw it at Keely, and so they're going to focus on the young guy that hasn't proven that he can stop it. Now, to me, you're going to see a big improvement this week. Kirby's been drilling them hard, and you're going to play a lot better defense, but you're also going to play not as good offense. But I guarantee you're going to see some wide receiver screens on the perimeter this week, and you'll prove, can you stop them?
Yeah, I want to kind of transition into some here. I want to look at I want to say it's as simple as just showing up, because more likely is. All right, let's just be honest. Listen, just get touchdown, right? That'll be the first of many. Just touchdown and coma, and you'll win this game. But I think one of the things from an interest, like the keys to victory, if you will, right? Establish the run game. Listen, and what I mean by that is this. I want to see. I think it's coming. I think this is the game. Kendall Milton, as much grief as he's gotten for no real reason, in my opinion, he will break out. And I'm telling you right now, he's going to break off a huge play. I think it's going to be a huge touchdown. If you watch the Kent State game, his intelligence and his vision is where it needs to be. He's doing all the right things, reading all the right, making all the right reads. I'm just telling you, especially on our counter, right? If you look at the counter, all we need to do is get the linebackers covered. He's gone. He's gone. I'm telling you right now, because he will make the safety miss. I know we've saw people talk about him, breaking these shoestring tackles. Listen, I'm telling you right now, I'm calling my shot right now. He's going to break off a big touchdown run, and I think you're going to see the running backs get utilized a ton. Depending on AD Mitchell, Arian Smith, if they come back, you might not see that as much. I do think you're going to see Lab McConkey get utilized just the same, if not more. If AD's there, they're going to take shots with AD. If Arian Smith comes back, watch out because Stetson Bennett with that arm, I'm telling you right now, he's gotten stronger this past offseason. He's going to hit Arian Smith in stride because there's nobody on Missouri's defense that's going to stop that. You're going to see some explosive plays on this offense. You're going to see that. Defensively, get to the ball. Continue to do what you're doing. Everybody wants to bash this defense for not having that many sacks, right? Prior to Kent State, we had 1 sack. But if you look at the quarterback hurries, right, and the disruption and the chaos that caused, there was a reason why people had only scored 10 points through 3 games. Just gonna leave that there. Listen, obviously I think you get 3 sacks on the day Saturday. I think you could honestly see more, right? Possibly. I say possibly because I think Missouri's going to have to get the ball out of their hands extremely fast, so that, and try to stretch the defense horizontally. That ain't going to work, right? That's why we think we're going to dominate this game and win ugly. What are your keys to victory here for Georgia? What do they have to do to come out of Como with a win?
Well, for sure. I think, it kind of starts with offense. And it's like we talked about weeks ago with Oregon and different things. You got to take care of the ball, first and foremost. You didn't take care of the ball last week. You gave up a couple easy fumbles, muff punts. And if you're lad, it happens. It's tough. But this week up in Missouri at night, take care of the ball. Don't have any turnovers. Win the turnover battle. And then like Patrick's saying, then after that, if you take care of the ball, you just show up. You're better than they are. You're going to be able to have that Monken offense, but you got to hit your shots too. I think that's the other thing about this offense that has so many moving parts and it looks so pretty is sometimes you have to hit the shots when they're there. It can't be an overthrow. It can't be dropped. It can't be, a hospital ball to Ladd over the middle of the field with the safety breathing down his neck, coming to attack him in the end zone. I mean, if he'd have caught that ball, that's what most people don't realize. If he'd have caught that touchdown early in that game that Stetson threw over the middle, the safety would have probably knocked him out.
Oh, yeah,
unconscious.
I want to jump on this right here because you brought up the excellent point here, and then obviously I'm gonna let you get back to it. If you've watched through 4 games, the ball placement, right, from Stetson Bennett, we've seen it every game, but this game was one particular. If you saw Dylan Bell having to turn back around, right, to grab behind him, I want you to understand one thing. What Stetson Bennett is doing is not making a poor throw. He is communicating to his receiver where the defense is, right? Because if, for instance, like you just said, if he catches that, it's a wrap, right? Like it could have got ugly. But you also look at, like I said, Dylan Bell, right? You sit there, you see him come, it looks like it's thrown behind him. That's actually the right way to do that. You slow him down, right? You slow him down so that he doesn't get hit by the safety, right? We saw it with Kenny McIntosh. A little bit different here. Kind of throw it on his inside hip, right? When he's out into the flats. I think it was like a 5-yard pass. When you sit there and you take that and you throw it and you make him spin around, what that's really doing is getting his eyes upfield so he can make a guy miss. Because guess what? When he caught that, he turned 5 into 8 or 9 instead of just catching it and going down because you spun him around. So I want to say to this, and then I'm going to let you finish back. Stetson has done an excellent job to this point in ball communication. You have to do that as a quarterback because you don't want many hospital balls, right? As you called it, you don't want to see that because that's how you lose players. That's how you get injured easily, right? And it can be avoided. And Stetson to this date has done an extremely, extremely good job on doing that. Shout out Brooks Elson. Continue, sir. Sorry.
So, that's for the offense. And then for the defense, I think, again, you're going to have to defend the run. They're going to try to run the ball. And then you got to defend the perimeter screens because you put on film against Kent State that you struggle defending them. Now, whether you really struggle defending them or not, whether it was just a one-time thing, it doesn't matter. If you're Missouri and you're watching film from last week and you see someone scored an 80-yard touchdown on Georgia, they're going to look and see how, and they're going to say, "Oh, look, they struggle with their fits in the perimeter. Let's throw that in 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times." It expect it to come, but expect it expect us not to give up a lot of points this week. I think it gets fixed. What needs to get fixed gets fixed, and the dogs are fine.
Yeah, try saying that five times fast. Now, so Landon brings up a good point. In the words of Koby, ball security equals job security. You protect the ball, we just run away with it, and it's going to be an ugly beatdown. And he's got a point, right? We cannot afford to have the game that we did where we have 3 turnovers, right? You have the pick, you have the muff punt, you have the fumble, right? I'm telling you right now, it's going to come to a point where you have to play flawless football, right? That's the goal. But if you can mitigate the turnovers, it's that simple, right? That gets them out of the game, right? Because your offense is too efficient for them to stop, in my opinion. Your defense is going to just wreak havoc. Watch. Pop Johnson's going to have a damn game. If Michael Williams and Jalen Carter come back, because I know Jalen Carter didn't play Saturday. I think he was suited up, just didn't play. Michael, you didn't really see much at all either. But you had guys step up for them, right? Bear Alexander had a pretty damn good game, right? So you sit there and you see these things. Pop Johnson's doing a great job. Smile Monda's doing a great job. What we're seeing, guys, is this defense. Koby, you brought this point up perfectly. It's a young defense, right? But you're seeing them mature and grow on the fly, right? We knew they were talented. We knew that. You're 4 and 5 stars deep. But what you're now seeing is you're seeing Pop Johnson become instinctual. Look, he's the first one to move, man. When the ball snapped, he is the first one to move. You sit there, you look at Smallmond, just freakish athleticism. There's similarities to what we saw last year on this defense this year, but you're seeing them grow and mature and becoming their own having their own identity, right? And to me, that's a good thing. But at the same time, we have to look at coachable moments from last week and make sure that we apply that and grow from it. And I'm telling you right now, when you have Kirby Smart, you have Glenn Schumann, you have Will Muschamp, this defense, there's no question about the coaching. These guys will be fine. These guys will be absolutely fine. But I do want to ask you, players of the game, I want to make our prediction here. And if you're in the brigade, let us know in the comments, by the way, who you think your player of the game were. We're going to do one defense, one offense. Koby, I'm going to let you start off. Give me your player of the game offensively.
Offensively, I think we continue the Brock Bowers brigade of get this man the tied into the year award at the end of stolen from him last year, wasn't even a finalist.
That Mackey Award says to take now.
Yeah, it definitely. I see him having another big day. I just think that using him in the run game, using him in the pass game, all those things just are proven that he's so versatile, and he will be at the next level too. Expect him to have a touchdown or 2. I'm hoping that he finally gets a few more in the air. I think he has like 3 or 4 on the ground already. But
it's insane to believe, but yeah.
I'd really like to. I think he has more rushing touchdowns than any running back possibly at the moment too. But I'd like to see him catch, maybe 2 touchdown passes for a change, even if it's on that same jet sweep. If he comes in front of Stetson instead of behind, they consider it the little toss pass that.
Yep, the little touch pass.
Yeah. So, seeing him do that would be nice. Seeing Stet kind of get back on the horse, throw a couple more touchdowns. It just looked nice. And then for defense, I would say that if we have to have one of the game, I would say it'd have to be Kamari Laster. I think that they're going to target him, and it's going to be that he shows up, buckles his chin strap, gets to work, and proves to Missouri, Georgia, and the rest of the country that, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And just because he's the new guy on the block doesn't mean you can try to bully him with your best receiver. Like, he's going to lock him up. He's going to make it hard to catch. He's going to not allow yards after the catch. Like, he's going to have a big game.
And I'm going to go take mine here. I think offensively, right? Like, it's easy to say Brock Bowers, and rightfully so, right? He's carrying the load. I want to think of it differently. I want to see Brock Bowers use a little bit less. And why I say that is I want to see more opportunities for Darnell Washington. But I'm not going to say that he's my player of the game. So I just want to talk about this. Listen, Darnell Washington should be getting a lot more targets in the red zone, folks. In my opinion, listen, I want to see these red zone efficiency or deficiencies go away. What better way to get it done than just throwing it up to a 6'7", 270-pound monster? He can just go up and high point the ball, folks. If we have issues trying to run the ball or whatever the case may be, I'm telling you, just throw it to Darnell. With that being said, though, my player of the game is going to be, I'm telling you, Kendall Milton. Just watch. Missouri has a terrible run defense. They're going to actually, you know what? They're going to try to load it to make us throw it deep. So Patrick says McConkey bounces back. And I would think that McConkey could have a damn good game too. I just think that we're going to be able to sit there and utilize the running backs out of the backfield to neutralize that situation. Kendall Milton, I think, will impress, in my opinion, just ridiculously this week. I just have a feeling he's going to have a breakout game. He's under. I feel like he's overlooked in the passing game. Listen, that's just a testament to how good Kenny McIntosh is. Let's be honest. But Kendall Milton is a damn good receiver out of the backfield as well. And if you get him in space, it can get ugly, right? I'm going Kendall Milton to sit there and have a good game. Whether it be, I want to see him break off a long touchdown run, right? I've made that shot. But I think you see him go down the field as well and get some plays out of the backfield. It will not surprise me that if you have a Lad McConkey have a breakout game, bounce back. Talk about resiliency. That's how you do it. Defensively, give me Pop Johnson. What I've seen through 4 games is he's playing loose, man. He's comfortable. He's genuinely comfortable and confident in what he's doing. And if you're a middle linebacker, especially inside linebacker, you have to have confidence. Think about it. That confidence is making him do things faster than everybody else. While we saw him get sacks, while we saw him get these tackles for losses, right? I think that he's getting that much more comfortable that fast that I just think he's going to have a huge game. Probably a sack or 2. You're going to see him disrupt running lanes. It's just he's going to be all over the place is where I'm going at. I think you mentioned Kamari Lassiter as well. I think he can have a good game here. He's going to get targeted, but I think the person that might get picked on or tried to get picked on, Tyke Smith if he starts at star. With Javon Bullard being out, listen, who knows? I'm expecting it to be Tyke. We'll see, but whoever starts at that star position, you're probably going to expect to get some looks your way. Because Javon Bullard was basically locking that shit down. But defensively, I've got Pop Johnson. Landon here. I'm going to read this comment because this is interesting. Throwing a unit of the game. Think special teams gets a touchdown this weekend, similar to the Stokes blocking touchdown in 18. Can see it being a good special teams day if they kick to us. And as he says, spoken like a true punter.
Shout out Landon, old specialist. I'm hoping it's not a good day for the special teams. It was a good day last week for the special teams. You had a block punt, you had made all your field goals, all your extra points. I think we're really looking to hopefully take a step back from a great special teams game this week. I'd love to see Pod still make all his extra points, but I'd really like it to be kind of like Oregon, no punts, no field goals kicked or minimal field goals kicked. I'd like to see us score some 7s instead of 3s. And like we've said, against this Missouri team, there's little to no reason to see Brett Thorson jog out on the field.
I swear to God, I'll tell you right now, I still believe this is true. Stetson Bennett just hates Aussies. He hates punters. He just does. He just hates Australian punters. That's what it is.
I think the big thing is, and it showed you last week, it made it frustrating for our fans, is, and I'm glad Jack was special teams player of the week this week. And, I'm always happy for those kind of accolades. But if you took every time we kicked a field goal last week and scored a touchdown half of those times, it would have been a blowout last
Oh,
week.
listen,
Even
17.
worse than it was.
You're talking about like 5 scores possibly, like 4 or 5 scores. But no, I think listen. I think you could definitely listen. We landed. We got a safety last week off of the punt block. Yeah, listen. I just don't know if Lad McConkey will break out for like a punt return touchdown or anything like that. I just never feel confident in betting on anything like that's going to happen. But I'm telling you right now, there's a good chance that you're going to get a block punt. I just feel like that's the case. We're just too dominant on special teams. The elite guys still play special teams, and that shows. Shout out to Jalen Walker, by the way, for getting that first punt block, getting that touchdown, or not the touchdown, but that safety. Listen, that's my God, a freshman moment right there.